Hello everyone, I am here to demonstrate to you how to make the hidden gatefold card, hidden panel gatefold card. And it is a card that we made last night in our meetup session. And I showed a picture in meetup of what it looked like, and I'm going to demonstrate exactly how I made that card. So if you'll stay with me for just a second, I'm going to switch to the other camera and we'll get started. Okay, now I got to slide this back over so you can see it without me messing up what we're doing. I'm having a problem with this new program that I am using. I have tried multiple times to do this and it just does not want to cooperate. So I am hoping that this films so you will be able to see and enjoy it. Okay, here's the card that I made. It is 4 1/4 by, I think, 4 1/8 maybe. We can measure that to see exactly how big it is when it's closed, and it is 4 by 4 1/4. Okay, so once you open this, here is your scene, but it's split into 2 panels, and it opens like this to reveal your message inside, and it can stand like this. So it would be standing like this if someone wanted to display it. Okay, so this is the card that we're going to be making, and I will be also showing you how to convert an envelope to fit this. I'm going to place my tutorial right here, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do today's. Okay, this is the one that I made last night. And as you can see, it has a different theme altogether. And I'm doing that because I make cards and send to 2 children once a month they are sick children. And they're part of the amazing warriors that fight big battles. This is a group on Facebook, and you can go to this site and see some of the children who need your help, need you to provide some love and joy, because a lot of them are dying. Some are just very, very sick and cannot function in the real world. Others try but have their setbacks. So if you could and would like, please go to the site, Amazing Warriors Fighting Big Battles, and sign up to send some of the cards you make to them once a month, along with a few stickers. And this month, of course, is the Halloween celebration, and they're having all kinds of parties on the site and giveaways. But this is going to be my card to the 2 children that I send to. So it opens like this, and here is the scene. And then it opens to Boo on the inside. So I'm going to show you the fold, and then you use the same measurements and directions to make a card with your theme. So I'm going to place this one over here so I can refer to it if I need to, and I'm going to put this one over to the side. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our cardstock for our base, and you have a piece that is 4 1/4 by 11, and you have another panel which is 4 1/4 by 4, and that piece goes on, will go over here like this on the left hand side. Now the card that I demonstrated or no, not demonstrated, showed you here, does not have this particular panel. And the reason I didn't put this panel on is because this card was thick enough to be able to function as that panel on its own. But you will see that if you had DSP or other thin material, you will need to put another piece behind it. And that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. So on this 4 1/4 by 11 piece of cardstock, I am going to score this. I want to make sure that I get my directions correct here. You're going to score this at 2 inches, at 3 3/4 inches, and I'm going to open it up because I'm going to need to go beyond the 6 1/4 here. We're going to score at 7 1/4 inches and at 9 inches. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this, but you now have 4 score lines. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way to this right-hand side, and we're going to fold this back on that score line. Then we're going to fold this one to the right, to the inside. Now, before we go any farther, I'm going to get my bone folder, and I'm going to score this first fold on this side and on this side. You need to do that in order to make this lie the way it should. Okay, I'm going to score it, fold it, and burnish it, crease and burnish it there. So now I have this that folds back, okay? And I'll probably score that again. But then you come to your next fold. This is the 7 1/4. It folds in like this. I am going to crease and burnish it on both sides. And then here is your 9-inch score line, and I'm going to fold it back. And now I have 2 side flaps that meet in the center. And it should meet perfectly in the center, like that. And when it's opened, it looks like this. Okay? So now what we're doing, I'm just going to lay this flat again, because we're going to be working with this piece. So I now have this piece, and this is the piece that is 4 by 4 1/4. This piece is going to adhere to that panel, and it's going to look like this. So it's only going to be adhered on the left half side. Now when I adhere it, I put my adhesive on this panel, because if I do it on here, I don't know how far over to go, and I could get adhesive in the wrong place. So I'm going to make sure that I put enough adhesive here. Of course, I'm going to run out, but I got enough adhesive here that it's going to stay put. So now I'm going to lay this where it is completely flush. The sides match, and the top and the bottom matches. And I'm just going to press that down. Now I have this. And when it is closed, it covers that. This is the hidden panel right here. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to decorate these flaps. I've already cut a piece that is, let me make sure I'm right, 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. This is going to be the mat. So we're going to cut this placing this side at the top. Where is this? I want to make sure I'm telling you right. I don't think I left it out. Well, I can't find it at the moment, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to come over here, and this is 4, so we need 3 3/4. So we're going to measure 3 3/4, and we're going to cut it there. Now, we have 2 pieces. This will go here, and this one will go here. Yeah, like that. And this one will go over here. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere that, and I'm just going to adhere it with tape runner, but I want to use this side, the diamond side. This comes from an old pack of paper that Stampin' Up! Had of gingham. It was gingham in all colors that that were popular at that time. All of the basic colors. Looks like there's a lot of orange, pumpkin pie in there, but there are other colors in there too. There's gray. If you ever have an opportunity to purchase one of these, it really is worth it. It is called Gingham Cottage. It's a wonderful pack of paper that I have used for Christmas. I've used it for Halloween, obviously. I've used it at Easter. It is very versatile. So I'm putting adhesive on this panel, and I'm going to adhere it right here, and I'm going to sort of center that like that. And then I'm going to put adhesive on this side of the larger panel, and make sure I've got the right direction. Does it go that way? I want to make sure that I've got it where it will match. Yep. And we'll put that down there, so when this is folded up, it's going to match. Okay. So now we've got our mats down. Now I went a step further and decided that I wanted to have, if you notice here, I had a white piece, and then I had a fresh freesia piece. And so what I'm going to do is use a deckled rectangle to cut this. Now there's a real trick to this, and I need to get my little, here's my little mini. And this is perfect for just having handy, so if you're on the go, or if you want to use it at your desktop when your other's set up somewhere else. But I like using it for my smaller dies. And you have, just like the big one, you got your base plate, which is number 1, and it goes on the bottom. Then you have 2 of the number 2 plates. And you put one down, and the other, of course, will go on top of your die. Now, I am using the deckled rectangles, and I have moved it. Those things, it just wants to evade. And I want to show you, if I can get it out of the pack. And they're coming loose here. But this one is too small. And then the next one, which is right here, I've got to do something about this. That's still just a tad smaller than I want it to be. If I use this one, that's going to be way too big. So here's one, and that's going to be good, but it's too long. So I'm going to show you what I did in order to make this fit. So put all these pieces back, and I'm going to be putting this into a case so I will not lose my pieces. So I have got a piece of white, and I've got to cut it down in order for it to go through my machine, because this machine only is 3.5 inches wide. So I'm going to cut this down so I can get it through there. see if this will work. Yes, that will go through. It's a little bit bigger than 3.5. So I'm going to put my white paper down. I'm going to put this die down. And I'm not going to worry that it goes off the end, because that's the end I'm going to be shortening. So put this plate down. Slide that up a little bit. Now, when you run this through, if you do it straight like this, you might have a problem. If you do it slightly off center, it catches better and it'll run through without any problem. I figured that out the hard way. But I've heard other people since say the same thing. Okay, so now I've got this, okay, and that's perfect for this. So I am going to mark where I want this to be. So I'm going to use my pencil, and I'm just going to put a little mark right here to show that that is where I want to cut it off. And then what I'm going to do is lay this back down, and I'm going to place this right where that is, and making sure my edges are lined up okay. You're not ever going to get it in the exact same position, but you just line it up and it'll work. And I am going to take my paper tape, which is the Post-it labeling and cover-up tape, which I think is amazing. It holds it. You can adhere it to this, and it won't leave a sticky residue. It won't leave a sticky residue on your paper or tear it. So now I've got this lined up, and I'm going to put that on top and make sure it's underneath. And then I'm going to run it through. Okay, let's slide this back. Now, if you get this piece, the die, too close to where you want to insert it, it will not go in. So I needed to slide that back a little bit. So I'm going to reposition this because this is cutting out of whack. And I got my tape just a bit off. So now I've got it farther down. I'm going to put my plate on. So now it should run through. Yeah. And you're going to hear the cracking. There it goes. Just like you do with the big one. And now I have a mat that's the right size. And it's deckled all around. Okay. So now I'm going to bring this card back over. And I'm going to adhere this one down like this. Now, actually, I think I want it a little bit shorter. So I'm going to put this back on. And it doesn't matter which plate that I use as the bottom plate. I can use the one that was on top before. And in fact, if you switch them back and forth, switching the top and the bottom one, it will help to keep it from bowing. However, I always keep an extra set of plates. So if I'm doing a project and it starts to bow to the point that is difficult to use, then I have an extra set. Okay, so now it's a little bit shorter. And I like it because it's even all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to put this deckled die back with the others. And I'm going to put my die cutter over to the side so we can have some room. Okay, so now I'm going to adhere this to the center. I'm going to place it right down about there. Now, you can see on this one that I have this Fresh Freesia mat, and it's quite a bit too big for this, so I need to cut that down. This was a scrap piece, and I'm going to cut this down by measuring. Now, I know since I cut this one a little different than that one, that I have to use a different measurement. So that's about 3. So I'm going to say 2 3/4 by 2 5/8. So I'm going to come over here and cut this. This already is 2 3/4. I'm trying to remember what I was supposed to cut it as. This was this one was 2 3/4 by 2 5/8. I think is what I said. 2 which leaves me a little piece, but it will work. So I'm going to adhere that. And I'm going to center it so I'll have white all the way around. Okay, so now I'm ready to put my witch's hat and feet. Now, before I started the video, I went ahead and stamped this and cut it out because this stamp set did not have a die. And this stamp set is called Bewitching. And this is a set that was available last year. And it's retired now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color this witch's hat. I'm going to use the Fresh Freesia, a pumpkin pie, and I couldn't find my green, so I'm using an Ohuhu art marker, alcohol marker for the green. And then I'm going to be using a gold gel pen, and this is a Sparkle Pop, and I can't remember what the brand name is. I think it's a big. But anyway, what we're going to do now is I am going to start out using the brush side, and I am going to color the top band green, and then I'm going to come below and do this one. Now, I did want to tell you that when I was stamping this hat and the shoes, it would not come out a solid black. I had a very difficult time getting it to come out as a solid black. And I remembered what another demonstrator has said, that if that ever happens, and with some of the bigger dies, stamps that you're using, oftentimes if your ink pad is not really, and I hate this word to describe this, but this is exactly what it is, if it's not juicy, then it's not going to transfer a solid black. So what I did is I got out my Versamark ink pad, and Versamark is what you use when you're doing embossing. It's this one, and it's a clear, sticky, well, that's not clear and sticky anymore. I use that for something else. Let's see. It's clear and it's sticky, and that's why the embossing powder sticks to it. But if you stamp first here and then stamp in the black or the solid color, it then will give a better transfer. So now I have got my fresh freesia and I am coloring some of these other spots. I wanted to have a little color on this. And then I'm going to use my green again and fill in these other spots. I don't know why I did that one there. Okay, we got 3 of those right there together, but that's okay. So then I'm going to get my gel sparkle pen and I'm going to fill in this center because I just wanted a little bit of pizzazz to this witch who has melted, it looks like. Reminds me of the Wicked Witch of the West. And I'm going to trace around the outside edge of my greens to give it a little bit of a pop. That just gives it a little bit of pizzazz here. Oops, I did it around that fresh freesia one, but that's good too. All right, so then I'm going to come down here. I'm going to go ahead while I got this gel pen. And I am going to use this to do her buckles. Now, I do know that Stampin' Up! Now has a cauldron, a witch's cauldron that is brewing, has a brew in it, and it's bubbling this year for one of the stamps sets for Halloween, and I think I will be getting that one to go with this. I think it will be a good combination. So I'm now going to do green. I'm going to put it right here in the middle. And I'm going to have a pumpkin right here. And there's just a hint right here of the fresh freesia. Okay, so now we have this done, so we can apply it to the front of our card. So I'm going to put my feet down first. And I'm going to do this with glue. I hope. If I can get the glue to come out. There it comes. Okay, and I am using this art glitter glue, which has nothing to do with glitter. It's just the name of it. And that is a fine tip applicator that is added to the top. It comes with it. Although it's not as fine as the tip that comes with Stampin' Up's fine tip applicator. So there's a place for both of them in this world. So now I'm going to put this one down. Slide it over just a tad, because I want the same space on both sides. Okay, so now I got her feet. Now I'm going to put glue on her hat. If I can get the glue to come out. I think I got a clog in there. It's definitely not wanting to work. So I'm going to try and get it flowing again. There it comes. Alrighty. So now I'm going to put the hat over. I want just, well, I'm going to just go ahead and do it like that. I'm going to be covering up covering up all the orange actually, but that's okay. There we go. I'm going to slide it up just a bit just so it shows the green. And then what I want to do, Hold it up just a bit more. It's all right if it hangs off up there. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Happy Halloween across the top. Now, I am going to be using the stamp set from the September 2022 Paper Pumpkin because it has a Happy Halloween stamp in here. And I'm going to be using one of the punch outs for this kit, which is a ghost, and it matches. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. We're going to put that one right there like that. And my ghost over here, I had cut out from, I did some fussy cutting. I used this ghost in Fall Fest. It's a very old stamp set. And when I saw this, it had that fresh freezy around it, and I really liked that. So I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of this. I'm going to put this down. Let's see, I want it sort of like that. Okay, now all I have to do is get my Happy Halloween here. So I have some scrap paper left over from when we cut this out. And I'm just going to get rid of these sides here. And I'm going to stamp Happy Halloween. So with this stamp set, here it is right here. Happy Halloween. I love these. I forget about these Paper Pumpkin stamps. And they really have got some really nice ones in there. And I just never think about them. So I'm going to reorganize, and I am going to make sure that I have them where I can have easy access to them and know what I've got. And there we go, Happy Halloween. Now on this one, I couldn't find a stamp set, so I wrote it. But this is easier. Alrighty, now I'm going to do the same thing here that I did to make this white mat. I'm going to get my deckled, if I can find it again. Here are my deckled rectangles. And see, this one will fit as far as the sides are concerned, but it's way long this way. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut it to make it work this way using that piece of that paper tape, the same piece. And I'm going to get my little machine. Okay, I got to take this shirt off. It's getting hot in here. So I'm going to place this down and make sure that that die is between the plates and not off on the edge. And we'll sort of put it cattywampus in there. Run that through. Okay, so now I have got this piece that looks like that. But what I want to do is I want to make it look like that. So I'm going to put this down like this and tape it here to that. And then I'm just going to run this through. And now I have my sentiment. Okay, so I'm going to put that right there, move this out of the way. I got to make sure I get this back in its proper place. and save my piece of tape, because you can use that piece of tape quite a lot. Then what I did here to sort of highlight this sentiment is I used my sponge daubers and the pumpkin pie ink. And let me get my sponge dauber out. And I just brushed around the side. Now the reason I'm using the sponge dauber instead of a brush is because the brush would get it, more of it, onto the sentiment strip itself, and it would probably get on the writing, which would be okay, but that's not what I wanted, the effect I wanted. Okay, so put this away. And now I have my sentiment strip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of that. And I have all my dimensionals, little bits and pieces, in this little plastic container. And when I get down to the edge here, you can still use those. What I do is I just snip them apart. And I'm going to put one there. And I'll put this other piece right there. Alrighty. Now I'm going to get my take your pick tool with the pointed end, and I'm going to sort of push up. And then I will have all of these pieces, these paper pieces, on the end of my tool, and not have them all over the floor, in my shoe, in my hair. And then I'm going to put this down, and I want it like that, I think. Make sure it's evenly placed. See, I need to glue down the hat a little bit more. Now, this hat, there are 2 layers here. And if I wanted to, I could cut a little piece of dimensional. It would have been best if I had done this prior to this point, but I'm going to cut one of these little narrow, skinny pieces. And I'm going to go ahead and take the top off. And I'm going to stick this up underneath there. And that will give that some support. Okay, but it still looks 3-dimensional. Okay, and it's even, pretty much. It's a little bit higher, but it's fine there, like that. Okay, the next part is getting this inside panel. So I'm going to fold this back and open this up. And I think I used my panel that I had intended for the inside. So let's measure this. This piece, I'm going to make it 3 1/8 by 4. And I'm going to cut this real quick. Slide all these pieces over. So I've got 3. I'm going to go ahead and cut 4. And then I'm going to do 3 1/8. this piece will fit right there. Now, before I put this down, I want to stamp it, because if I don't, then if I made a mistake, then I'd have this piece already stuck. It'd be hard to get it off. I'm going to use Trick or Treat from the same little stamp set. Get my stamp block. And this stamp has not been used before, so I'm just going to run my finger over it to get some of the oils from the factory off. And then I'm going to get my black. I'm going to lay this straight. And before I put this down on that, I'm going to test it. And that came out fairly well. So, I want to stamp it right here. And it looks like there's a piece of lint on here, on the C. So, I don't know if I've gotten it or not, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip this over and see if this will be better. Yes, that's much better. And nobody will ever know that I had stamped on the back. Alright, so now I am going to put my adhesive on here. And I'm going to adhere this. Okay, now I see that there are some bats. I've never used a stamp set, and I'm just so anxious to use all the parts and pieces. Okay, so here are some bats. And I'm going to stamp these bats right up there in that corner. So I'm going to get my black again. And I should have done this before I stuck it down. But I didn't. I didn't see it. Yes, that will be great. And there are my bats. Oh, I love it. Yes. So we've got Happy Halloween. And there's the ghost. And there we go with Trick or Treat. And then you can sign down here. Now, of course, if you had a lot to say, you could put a panel on the back here and sign in right there. Okay, so now, this is smaller than a normal card. So this envelope, you could send it in this envelope, but you can see how you're going to have extra space on both sides. Let me get these over here. So I'm going to show you how to cut this envelope down to make it fit. However, do know that when you mail this, you may have to add an extra stamp in order to send it, because it does cost more to send an unusual size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this envelope and I am going to gently take it apart on both sides. Okay, I'm going to open this up like that. Now, I'm going to put this in so I can slide it over to show you. So I'm going to cut this little piece off to make the sides straight. Let's see, I'll put it right here. And it cuts right on that fold. And I'm going to cut this side off. And it cut right on that fold. So now you have the envelope without flaps. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put this back in. And you're going to line it up on the half mark. and you're going to score half down, and don't push too hard because it will go right through your paper, because this envelope paper is thin. And I'm going to score here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take my little paper snips, and I'm going to cut on this score line all the way up to that first fold. And I'm going to clip it off. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. If I can line it up right, my hands are shaking. Some days are like that. Okay, let me get that straight. And I need to tidy that up a bit. Okay, and I'll cut it right there. Now, what I'm going to do is come up here and do the same thing. I'm going to cut like that. Cut it a little bit better. Okay, then we'll try and cut on this score line all the way to this fold and clip it off. Okay, so now what you have are just these two wings right here. Before we go any further, I'm going to get my corner rounder, and this is an old one, but there are many, many of them out there on the market. And I am going to round, well, I thought I was going to round. That's not doing a very good job. Here's another one. Let's see if we can do a better job here. Yes, much better. This is actually a Creative Memories. And I'm also going to do it down here. I didn't get that one all the way. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is fold this in like that. And this side will be folded in like that. And I'm going to get my, you can use glue, but the tape runner fits just perfectly here. And I'm going to run it down here like this. And then this piece gets, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Should have put it on the bottom flap here. So, let me show you what you do when you have that problem. This is EC Tools, and it is a powder that you can use to get rid of the sticky. And you just rub it on it, and it will take that stickiness off. And it smells good too. Okay, so now I can just rub that right off. It's got powder on it, and it just rubs right off like that. Okay, there's that one. Mistakes make good teaching tools. Okay, now that's where I pressed the score tool down too hard, and it actually tore it. So I'm going to, the best thing to do is use a piece of tape if I'm going to use this. I would normally probably make this over, but for the purpose of showing you how to make this, don't press too hard. Okay, so, and I got something under, a piece of adhesive under there. Let me see. This is some of that I rubbed off. Okay. All right, so now you have an envelope that this should work in. And it goes right in. and closes right up like that. So there you go. Just make sure you don't press too hard on these sides. See, now that one's fine, but I felt it when I pressed it. But now, when you send this, you have got these layers, and always make sure that you put the front of your card with its layers toward the back. And the other thing that you can do is put inside a card that will sort of cover it. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be huge, just so it will cover up the front where you have embellishments or layers. This will protect the card during the mailing, like that. And then you can fold that down and mail it on its way. So there you have it. There is the hidden gatefold card. Now, if I were going to send this particular envelope, which I would not because I would want to make it without that, I would put a piece of the DSP on the flap. Or you could always stamp your little bats on it. Either way, it would be fine. So hang on, and I'm going to turn the camera back up to my face so I can wind this up. Okay, so I want to say thank you for joining me and being a virtual paper crafter. Your support means so much to me, and I appreciate you very much. So make the card, post it in our Facebook group, and also post it on Meetup in the photos section, because other people like to see what we're doing, and that helps us to get new members. So I'm going to say good night for now, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.